Hi, my name is Signe Page, and for my first video I'll be doing the Booktube Newbie Tag. Full disclosure, this is a re-upload of a video I posted yesterday that I rewatched and I really did not like initially, and I thought I had unlisted it, but it turns out I didn't. But I still decided to go through with this, so I'm redoing this. The first group of questions is, why do I love reading? Why did I start this channel? What am I most excited about? And what are some unique things I can bring to YouTube? So I put why do I love reading first because it kind of bleeds into all of the other stuff. So I started reading the same as anybody else. It's because I needed to escape as a kid. And even now there are times where I just want to escape or I'm just so bored because I don't live in a place where there's a whole lot to do. So, I would turn to reading instead. And I decided to become an author, first of all. My goal is to become an author, to kind of give more of a meaning and purpose to all that escapism that I did in my youth and that I still kind of do today. And also for now, like with my reading, I feel like I'm wasting time reading it. Like for the longest time, you're taught that stuff like this, freelance writing or editing, should be a plan B instead of a plan A. But I realized I was focusing more on plan B, which was the side job, which other people say is plan A, than my own personal plan A of what my dreams would be. So this is kind of helping me to showcase what I'm doing to kind of get to where I want to be. Right now, I am a confident developmental editor that I will do jobs for people. However, I don't want it to become my full-time career because I want to focus on my own work. But I do have a lot of insight, and I will be offering a lot of that in my videos. Most of what I'll be doing is going to be a merge of AuthorTube and Booktube, where I'll be using books that I read as examples of how I would developmentally edit a book. So it would be helpful for readers who are trying to get better at analyzing books, editors who are trying to get better or learn the process of, what kind of stuff you should talk about with developmental editing, and for authors who kind of want to use this information for their own writing before they hand it off to developmental editors. So, and a lot of the work I've been doing to increase my talent as a writer and as an editor is invisible. I work so hard and put so many hours into it, but all people really do is see me, hang out in my room and not do a whole lot with, life outside. And there's a lot going on. Like, it's more than just reading book. It's more than just consuming like movies and TV shows, which I'll also be reviewing. And also I might occasionally do a few games here and there, as long as it all ties back to kind of world building and writing and editing and just creative stuff. I might do a few just random fun, like streams or whatever. But overall, this is primarily a booktube or booking vlog. So it's just cataloging my journey that will hopefully also help you on your journey. So what excites me about starting this is essentially all the stuff I listed. I want to be able to do all this. I kind of also want the accountability that comes with like YouTube. Like, if you want your videos to be seen, you kind of have to keep producing them. People will keep wanting things, and they'll even come up with ideas I didn't think about to kind of make a video out of, or topics to like research and stuff. So I'm excited about all of that, and to like get talking to people about just, books and the stuff I love and film and all of those little worlds I like to get lost into. So the unique thing about my channel is essentially all the other stuff. So I answered all those questions. I can move on now. Where do I love to read? I will read anywhere I can. I'm a person who doesn't like to waste time. Even the time that I spend relaxing, I consider productive time. And so I plan it into my day. And so I will read while walking dogs if I wasn't able to like read before. Usually that will be the time I try to take a break, because it's important to like take a break and kind of do some exercises and get your mind off of the stuff you're working on to really power up your mind. But I will also read in the car if I can, like on long journeys, which can be 30 minutes or over because that's long for me. I'll read in my bed. I'll read outside. I'll read shopping if I think that I'll be bored to death with the people I'm shopping with. Which, it's not like a friendly, let's have fun outing. It's usually just, let's go get stuff. Again, I try not to, but there are times when I'm so absorbed into a book where I have to read it wherever I go. So, and then what kind of books do I like to read? I really like fantasy, and I have a list of other things I wanted to include because while I love fantasy, and I'll be mostly reviewing fantasy books because that's kind of what I will be writing for myself. Also, right now it's more young adult fantasy. I will get into adult fantasy, but my first series that I will be publishing is going to be a young adult series. So I just, it's good to get immersed in that genre before you kind of produce your own work. And then I also like books that evokes emotions, questions beliefs, gives insight into people and situations, offers a complex and engaging world filled with characters and relationships I can grow attached to and get obsessed over. And then books written in deep POV point of view with stylized or unique writing. Granted, a book doesn't have to have all of that stuff in it for it to be like a fantastic book. If it did, I would definitely rate it 5 stars and it would be considered my favorite. But as far as I know, from what I've read, there's not. And I remember there was a question I decided not to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. It was, show us your TBR pile or like your bookshelf or whatever. And that's behind me. I did poor planning in making these pillars because they're all books I've read and I'm going to be reviewing. So I'll have to be tearing those down and putting other books in there. And yeah, I didn't realize until somebody mentioned it and I was like, oh yeah. And then I looked because I was going to start doing my next video and my book was in the pile. So there's that. But you'll see that there's this whiteboard and this blank bookshelf. As I'm going through all these books, if I'm keeping it, it'll go onto this bookshelf until it gets filled and then I'll empty it. And then, or maybe it'll, get put back in the pile. But I really wanted to hammer out all the books that I own because I bought most of them when I was in high school and I was on that craze of just buying how many ever books I could find. And so I have a lot of books I've never read before or I haven't read for a long time. And I need to decide if it's still, worth me keeping or not. So moving on. What book or series got me into reading and when did I start reading? I don't remember. I have memories of my parents reading us stories when we were kids, like fairy tales and The Hobbit and stuff. But beyond that, I don't remember. I was really into Goosebumps, Sweet Valley High, Mary-Kate and Ashley, Boxcar Children, all in middle school. And then the Graceling series I also read in middle school in 7th or 8th grade. And that's what really introduced me into the fantasy genre. Because after that, I started reading the fantasy, like the Wind on Fire, the Slaves of Mastery books. But whatever. I also, another really good author from my youth was Tamora Pierce. All of her books, they came after Graceling, but they cemented my love for fantasy and also, kind of reading the generic books with, female main characters. I don't think I read a single book from a male's point of view in high school, but I am now. But most of what behind me is stuff I had read in high school or while I was in college and stuff. Some of it is more recent, but whether or not I'm showcasing it to like show you my taste or endorsing it, that's not what it is. So just enjoy how it looks. Don't think too deeply into it. What questions would I ask my favorite booktubers? And what challenges do I think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Every time I try answering the first one about the favorite booktubers, it always boils down to just more personal questions rather than involving Booktube and like their own tastes and stuff. It'd be getting to know them, asking how they are, if they have any advice or insights into like growing a channel, but also staying true to yourself while doing it. That's something I'll be facing a lot of with my the challenges part of the question. I have depression, anxiety, ADHD, which makes it hard to remember what I'm going to say, which makes me worry needlessly over the reaction I would get to my videos. And then also having motivation, like any of my problems I'll be having will deal with that. And I would just ask for advice on like, how do you do it? How, like, I know some people, they try to get too much into what others are doing because, you know, they're successful. And so they kind of abandon their own likes and their own purpose to doing it to kind of match these other people. And that's not something I want to do. So like I will be, you know, doing some stuff like that, but overall it's going to be tearing apart books and tearing into them and going in depth. And it may be books you've never heard before that I simply picked up at like Goodwill or like the airport or some kind of discount store, because I do believe that every book has some kind of value to it, and you can learn from it as an author, an editor, or even, I wouldn't say reader, so as an author or an editor. And there's once people start like all talking about the same books and stuff, then you don't get introduced to new books, you just get introduced to the same books over and over again. So I will cover topics having to do with popular books, but I do try to avoid them if I can. So that is kind of it. So I'll see you next time.